Hi, we're going live with Dr. Ted, who's making a tea, by the way, because it is spiritual tea drinking. So, and let me go live on Facebook as well. Hello. So, we're back to our spiritual tea drinking, now with Dr. Ted. And yeah, the topic is very interesting. How to get out of your mind and responsibly and enjoy. So I prepared a few questions for Dr. Ted. And wait. Dr. Ted, while I'm looking for my questions, can you say a few words about yourself?
Yeah, I'm in an interesting situation when I have best of two worlds. I have been a neurologist for 11 something years, and then I switched to the alternative medicine, and then I switched to prayer. So it's a rare combination of the person who experienced the medical field and then left it and experienced the alternative field, which can benefit those who listen to me greatly, this combination.
We decided to call these, I don't know, lectures or conversations as a research. For you, why and how did you start this research about non-dual consciousness?
I was a curious kid. I was going around the city and listening to all kind of lectures, attending all kind of events. And at that time, when I was about between 8 and 12, was a quite popular so-called mentalists, the mental artists, or later they start becoming hypnotizers, right? People who perform the mass hypnosis on the stage, right? So in our city was a concert of the man by the name Kuni. He was the disciple of the famous Russian mentalist Messing, who was quite known and left his traces all over the culture and impacted a lot of people in a good way. So I went to that event, to that concert of that mentalist, and what he showed on the stage was absolutely out of this mind, because he performed things the human being cannot perform.
Like what?
For example, there was 6 blackboards on the special stands, and these stands would be made that the blackboards would be rotating, and there was volunteers who would write 9 or something digit in each line, like 20 something line on each blackboard, and he would be standing with blindfolded with his facing the auditorium, so he's not looking at that. And then these volunteers, after they finished the writing the numbers, they would rotate the boards, that they start rotating like crazy. And then he would take off blindfold, turn around, pick 1, 2, 3 seconds, turn around, put blindfold back, and in about 2 minutes he was produced the sum of those all digits on 6 boards, or 20 lines, 9 digits each. He would produce the sum. Then the volunteers in the auditorium would calculate it for about 15 minutes later on, and they would come up, yeah, that's correct. So many things like that. He would find objects in the auditorium. He would find what people think about and stuff like that. And that impressed me so much that I started taking interest in that topic, because it was out of this world, out of this mind, right? Average person cannot do that. So the man possesses some knowledge which is not average knowledge.
Knowledge or abilities?
Probably both. He knew that it's possible, first of all, right? Because if you're trying to do something and you know that it's impossible, it's kind of hard. But if you know that it's possible, then it's doable, right? Despite everybody saying it's not doable, and it's still doable.
It's still doable.
Okay, so that was my initial kind of splash of interest to that. So I started collecting all kind of information, clipping from newspapers, from the magazines, and it was quite flourishing, all this topic. And then all of a sudden, 1 year, all the clippings, all the articles, and all the talks about it disappeared, like never existed, just went numb.
About all of these
About
shows,
all this.
about these people?
Yeah. I cannot produce exactly the year when that happened, that was the extinct cutoff. And that year, everything was cut it off and muted. Later on, it came out that the government put it under wraps because government worried that people would know too much.
Yeah.
So from that year on, it was very difficult to find any information, but it was too late. I already was brain damaged, so.
As a speculating thought, because see, I studied in Siberia in the university, and
can we see questions or anything? No, we can't, right?
No, we can't really see questions.
Can you log on my phone and see the questions?
I can see my questions.
No, I mean if people would ask questions.
If people would ask questions. I asked people to send us questions beforehand.
Oh, okay.
They didn't. So I decided we're going nuts, as we usually do during our conversations. So then, okay, you got the interest in these people, and then suddenly it cut off. What I found out when I was studying in university in Siberia, that there was a huge interest in people like you just described.
Right.
But this interest was brought to laboratories that were close to the public. Public didn't know about these laboratories.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about them that you can expose?
I don't have any definite information about it, but as I said, later on I discovered that the government shut it down, the stream of information, and the government acted on the advice of the secret services and all this on the underground shadowy organizations running the show. They wanted it to have it to their own, right? They don't want somebody else to know what's available.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, fine, you were a kid, you got interested in this stuff, then it was cut off, then you decided to become a doctor. Many years in the doctor's school.
I decided to be a person who can actually open up this box and see what's inside.
Physical.
And I first went to the psychologist, and the very famous psychologist assessed me and gave me like a color test and Rorschach test and many other tests. Well, it was very interesting. They definitely knew something, but that was not enough for me. So I decided that I would become a neurologist that I can really pick into brain.
You know what, that we had exactly the same kind of plans.
So 10 years down the road, I'm a neurologist.
Mine had to drop off because I had to leave this kind of dream because my eyesight decided to deteriorate and lacking my patience.
Maybe it's prevented you from knowing something you're not supposed to know at the moment.
Probably. But lucky my patience, I didn't open their box.
Right.
So, but and what actually made you share the information that you know?
I'm well prepared for that question. There is a concept, it's called die empty. So all my life I spent gathering things and sifting through the information, throwing out the garbage and picking up the jewels and the pearls. And at the moment I was sitting on that wealth of the sorted out things, And then I thought, okay, what am I gonna do with that? I can't take it with me into the next life, so I need to dump it on people, and then I will be empty, and then I'll be ready to go.
Uh-huh. So very selfish.
Of course, yes, of course, yeah. I acknowledge that.
Very selfish.
I acknowledge that, no problem.
There is no like, do you know what I love? It's not like, I have to help people. It's people deserve to know the truth.
That was on the agenda, but that wasn't the first point. The first point was my interest in picking into the brain.
So, other questions. You showed your interest in the subject, but what makes other people to get interested in similar subjects?
Right. There is a lot of chatter. I don't know if you know, but the secret services know stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
They
Oh yeah.
predict things based on the amount of chatter. They can't actually know what's people chatting about in different encrypted channel, but they can monitor the quantity of the chats.
Yes.
When the quantity raise up, they know that people are up to something, and they double the efforts to know what they're up to.
Quite logical.
So there's a lot of chatter about this topic. I watched and listened to many people on the internet, on the YouTube, and writing books about that subject. The subject is in the works. It's not something new, right? There is a lot of information about this. Non-dual consciousness, or as they call in many religions, ripened consciousness.
Right.
Yeah. I like the parables, so I'll go with little parable. Once upon a time in ancient India, one man who was pursuing the spiritual education and development of himself asked the elder about death and dying. And the elder looked at him, and without saying a word, he took 2 coconuts. He took young green coconut and smashed it over the rock. And coconut broke, and the milk spilled all over the rock, and pieces were, and it created mess. Then he took the ripened coconut and smashed it over the rock. The outer shell cracked and fell off, and here you go, he had in his hands perfectly rounded, ripened coconut. Those who understand, those will know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So we are talking about non-dual consciousness, but I think everybody understands it differently. So
yeah,
what is it?
That's the thing. I have to disappoint all our viewers because talking about non-dual consciousness is futile. It's like you showing somebody black and white picture of the famous Van Gogh sunflowers. Or even no, it's even worse. It's like you're talking to somebody and trying in your own words describe your experience of watching on the Van Gogh famous sunflowers. So that's approximately how talk about non-dual consciousness grade on the scale of from 0 to 10.
So what do you suggest instead of talking?
Instead of talking, it's better just to sit and drink tea and be silent and pray and meditate together. And that could be done and should be done as well. That's much better. See, there's this intrinsic problem, which also described in the Buddhist writings, when the Buddha's disciple decided to write his biography after his passing, about 150 years, no, not 150, about 20 something years, they decided to write down his biography. And there was like 7 or something, I don't know exact number of them sitting together thinking about it. And they said, yeah, well, we need to write this thing down. However, we are not good for it. We cannot do that because we're all enlightened, so we do not remember anything. We can't really say anything. But we have one person who didn't get enlightened yet among our disciples, but we can't ask him to say anything because he would pervert everything because his brain is still in a dual mode, and he would not tell the truth. So basically, we can't do that. So that's applied to the talk about non-dual consciousness as well.
Total disaster.
I'm sorry.
Total disaster.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
So, what I understood so far, talking about non-dual consciousness has no sense.
No sense, absolutely.
So, talking has no sense.
That's why the title was the "How to Get Out of Your Mind Responsibly."
So it makes sense to do something then,
Yes.
rather than
Well,
talking.
that doesn't make sense as well.
Okay.
Either.
I'll just drink.
I'm sorry about that. The reason it doesn't make sense because you cannot do yourself into non-dual consciousness, because non-dual consciousness is your natural state, the way you are. Like, can you feel this air, this room with the air, for example? No, you don't. Now, second question, do you need to fill this room with air in order to breathe? No, because it's already here. You just breathe, right? Yeah. Okay, the same thing with no consciousness. You cannot do so. This is not achievable by practice. It's the same with any prayer meditation. It's a state of non-doing, which is very hard for modern man because we are making ourselves busy all the time because we're scared of not structured time. If time is not structured, you just sit, people getting crazy. So they structure their time with all kind of things, scheduling. I'm working so hard. I have no spare minute. I'm so busy. Then 20 minutes down the road, all kind of diseases they develop, all kind of calamities. The family fall apart, and then after that they go to the retreats and to the mountains, to the monasteries, and they asking people who wasn't running like crazy around to fix that. So basically, this talk is to get people into the interest in this topic before happens, before it hit the fan. You know what hit in the fan, right?
So for me, it sounds like going back to my desert and drink tea.
Yes, exactly. Yes, you know, I was.
It's as simple as this.
I was introduced to this great lady. She's I don't know what's the position called, but she's basically in charge of the White Zen monastery in Ottawa. She used to be in broadcasting, was making good salary and making good living, but then all of a sudden she realized that that's not what she wanted to do because it's all emptiness. It's all empty words without no meaning. So she went for 17 years to different monasteries, Malaysia, mountains of Tibet, and studied the Zen. And then she came back and established that monastery. It's quite impressive, and I spoke to her on one of the conferences on the mental health and spirituality, which was in Ottawa. And again, she impressed me with the very simple, straightforward approach. She was talking to one lady, and I was waiting for my turn to talk to her. And the lady was sitting and I was standing in the hallway that was between the lectures. And when the lady left, I approached her and said, "Hi," introduced myself, "I'm Dr. Ted, this and that." And I make a reference to the lady. I think she left because she saw that she is taking too much time, and she wanted me to take some time as well. And she said, "No, we just finished talking." That's why she left. So immediately I realized that her perception is much clearer and her grip of reality is much stronger than mine. I was expressing artificial construction. I invented something out of blue and believed that that's to be true. She was speaking the truth because she saw the truth.
So most of us just invent the truth instead of seeing it?
We never see the actual truth if we're in the dual mind, because dual mind have all kind of filters. The filters are produced from the scars, from the trauma, from beliefs, from the social upbringing, from the conditioning, from the bad experiences, good experiences, all this creating filters. So basically what everybody sees is perverted picture of the reality, thinking that it is reality, which is not. It's in neuro-linguistic programming, it's called the meta reality, because the dual brain is continuously creating the construction, which is called how things are, and then working with that construction as reality, which is not. That's only mental construction. Nobody knows how many mistakes in that. It's very far from reality. The further, the worse, right? And then that dual mind is making another construction on top on this one, the first one, initial one, which is called how things should be. Because dual mind thinking that's actual reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then it's making the prediction how things should be, and then it's super concentrating on that prediction, thinking that's only one way how things should be, and then things of course going south and sour, and then that mind getting very upset, and the person getting an inflamed state of mind, which is almost kind of normal state of mind before this poop virus started. This was almost normal state of mind for every person. Inflamed mind, when the person running around like with popped out eyes, oh, this, that, quickly, time, yeah, I'm late, 1.5 minutes.
Yeah, and it's only people have
and
to
then
be.
all of a sudden realize that's not important. You can be late 2 years, nobody cares. When I was leaving the monastery of Athos in Greece, I befriended a Greek monk who was a professor of, I forgot which science in America, and then decided to become monk. And I asked him if he regret that he left his profession. He said, yes, I regret that I did it too late. So when I said final goodbye, I said, well, I'm sorry, I can't really tell you when I will be back to see you. Maybe 2 years, maybe 4. And he looked at me very plainly and he said, 4 days and 4 years, there's no difference. I'll just wait. I was thinking about that sentence a couple of years until I got it.
What did you get?
It doesn't matter.
For him?
For anybody.
Doesn't matter. But what matters then?
What matters?
Yeah. Does anything matter?
Well, we are here to gain certain experiences, and we are here to study the difference between our personal conditional love and universe unconditional love, or people calling it the love of God, or the love of Buddha, or the love of Krishna, or whatever. And there is huge difference because our love is conditioned. Basically, it's run under the motto, I love you because you can do this or that, or you this or that, or you displaying this and that behaviors towards me, or you have this and that qualities. The God's love is unconditional. It's running on the basis of I love you no matter what.
But can person achieve this level of love?
You cannot achieve what you already have. It's already inserted in us. We are made from it. We can shape the outer layers of fake identities like onion. And inside will be a sprout. And that sprout is us. But all these layers, which is causing so much tears and so much discomfort, that's a fake identities. I'm the husband. I'm the father of 5. I'm the owner of huge mortgage. I'm driving this, I'm driving that. That's all fake identities because we're not that. That's what we do. But it's much more convenient for the dual mind to address the self-identity question with these things. So when somebody asking person, so what do you do? Well, I'm driver. The person is not the driver, the person is the person, right? The person is doing the driving, but we are saying I'm the driver. And that seals the fate because now you're tied to the little tiny little speck of identity you have. It's less than infinitesimal percent of your real identity. Now you're doomed because you tied yourself, you put yourself in a incarceration. artificial incarceration. I'm sorry if I sound too apocalyptic, but the events we experience is kind of like a neo-apocalyptic.
No. What I'm thinking about that, you know,
I made you think, eh?
many people think of this virus as about disaster. Other people think of it as blessing.
Yeah, it's both. It's both.
What is it for you? Like, what did it make you to do this?
First of all, let's make a name for it, because if we call it what they want us to call it, we would be scared and running around buying toilet paper. So because people bought so much toilet paper, I decided to call it poop virus, so poopvirus, right? Poop virus, it is. It's a poopvirus flu running around, and it's not really a virus. The virus is the last incarnation of this attack. This is the mental attack on humanity in order to instill fear and strip humanity of the liberties already achieved. And this mental attack is doomed to fail because it's the last attempt. You know, the more the dog bark at you, the more it's scared.
Yes. Oh, yes.
I'm not scared of the dog which is barking like crazy with the foam at the mouth. It is not safe, but it's not scary. The scary is the silent dog which is jump on you from the back and get to your jugular. Okay, so the poop virus is not that powerful, because it's my personal understanding. This is the last warning. This is the last warning to wake up and to smell the roses. Because we do not smell the roses. We do not see how the trees opening the leaves. We do not see how the birds flying back from south up north to Canada. We don't see all these things. We're running and we don't see all these things. I took my son to the escapades, to the north, to Canadian north, and naturally first day he had a withdrawal syndrome from when the battery on the phone failed, and then finally the cellular reception failed as well. He had a withdrawal syndrome, and he was all jittery and jolting, and said, how a person cannot live without that little box with the shady plastic. Do you realize that we're all staring in the plastic with color shades all the time? Anybody realize that?
All the time.
All the time.
All the time. Not to the sky.
Do you remember the time when Rogers was switching from the renting of the tapes and later on DVDs into the selling the cell phones? They were remasking the locations, the stores, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they strip off shelves, they put nice, beautiful things, and they put the cell phones, the new logos, new everything, and nobody would be coming. So they hired a marketing person who went over, looked at the location, and said, put in the windows screens with the moving color picture. As soon as they did that, people start coming in. We are turning into the society obsessed with the moving color shades on the plastic. I am too. Guilty as charged.
Yeah.
And it's not life. When I bought my first iPod, when I opened it, it was an absolutely stunning packaging, state of the line, perfect. Nothing can be added to it. There was a little booklet there which says, this device will change your perception how the information is spread. And it did. It did change my perception. I see the people blindfolded by these devices, and they haven't seen life before that because they were rushing like around. After they have these devices, they have like double blinded because they don't see and they have the screen in front of them. In Niagara Falls, I saw the couple coming out of the hotel, couple tourists, probably Americans, husband and wife. They came out of the hotel and they both had devices in their hands, and they would go on the sidewalk like that. They would try the sidewalk before themselves, not to step into something. I looked at them and I said to myself, this is it. This is the end of everything. People don't see Niagara Falls. They see only the guides on the phones about Niagara Falls. They're now actually at Niagara Falls, but instead of looking at Niagara Falls, they're still staring at the guides.
Mm-hmm.
It is a disaster, and that's why everything happened as you see, because we are creating our own disaster. We're not living lives.
But now people actually want to see each other. After not seeing each other for such a long time,
Get
people
back.
want to see each other. People want to hug. And this is it. People just want to spend time with each other.
Yeah, about this. It's kind of controversial, but there is dual purpose of this happening. About 6 or 8 years ago, I started running my group where I'm running the lessons to teach people how to heal themselves and one another. I warned them about 6 years ago that huge change is coming. You better get ready for it. It's approaching. It's not yet here, but it's quickly approaching. From 15 people, maybe 1 or 2 heard me. Everybody else just was busy with running around. And then I warned them again that it would happen very soon because everything is getting tight and scary and gloom and doom. And they didn't listen to me too. Then everything happened. They start running around and yelling, oh, help us, Dr. Ted, please help us. I said, why you didn't listen to me? I'm not running around. I'm not scared. I don't care about the poop virus. If I to die, that I'm to die. If I'm not, then I'm not. We'll be seeing. If that would happen, then I'll see you up there. If that wouldn't happen, I still see you down here.
See, for many people, it's very scary to die.
The mystery of the death and dying experience is that no one actually can know if you're ready for it. And only when you're entering it, you will discover if you're ready or not. It happened that way. My life happened that way. I was working in the emergency aid in Europe in the former Soviet Union. And I saw a lot of people passing on right on my watch. When I was maybe one person, or with my crew, maybe 2 other people. And also the same thing happened here. I was doing the hospice work here in America and Canada, and also watching quite a lot of people passing on right on my watch. And I have to tell you, from all that herd of people passed on my watch, that would amount to about 60 or 70 people. 3 were ready.
Only 3.
Only 3.
Do you mean ready here?
Everywhere. Here. They were ready.
And how
This lady
did
said to
you
me,
know?
This lady asked me a question that was 4 a.m. and I was on her. We were alone, me and her in the room, and the pressure started dropping down after 3 or 4 attempts to raise it up, which were successful. The last one was unsuccessful. She looked at me and she said, "Doctor, this is it." And I automatically wanted to say the standard answer, "No, it's okay, you will be fine." But then I realized that would be wrong. The person would be gone soon. Why would I lie to that person? So I said, you know what? I'm afraid to say, but it's probably this is it.
Mm-hmm.
And then she said, okay, I'm fine. I had a good life. My husband was very kind to me. My kids are beautiful people. And I had everything in my life I wanted to have. I'm ready.
So she was completely satisfied person.
In 7 minutes, she was gone.
Mm-hmm.
She was completely satisfied with that happening, that she's actually would be gone in some time.
So she wasn't scared.
She wasn't scared. She wasn't begging for 1 more second. She wasn't whining and complaining. She wasn't unconscious. She was actually like a soldier on the battlefield. So, okay, I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
and she was gone in 7 minutes. I was speechless for about 2 months after that.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I want to be like that lady. I want to be like that lady because that's a spirit.
And she wasn't afraid.
She wasn't afraid even one bit.
Mm-hmm. What about others? Like, okay, she was ready. What about the ones that were not ready?
Well, I can only attest to those which I witness, which the people which I witness as a doctor or as a hospice uh, parish nurse in North America. Mostly people falling into the unconsciousness because unconsciousness taking off responsibility. So you just drawn into the unconsciousness and black out, and that's it. Um, that's a safety feature of the brain to go into unconsciousness when brains see that the experience is too tough or too strong or too intense.
Mm-hmm.
So to prevent the damage, the brain go into that mode, turning things off, the screen getting black, and after that there is no need to address your fear, there is no need to address happening, there's no need to think about it, you just log, the same like we're not logging now in the Canadian forest, just piece of wood. Would you be happy to be a piece of wood in that important moment? On the other account, I was reading the memories about the Seraphim of
Swarovski?
no, not Swarovski. There was Viritsky, Seraphim Viritsky. There was a little village Viritsa near the St. Petersburg, and he was a monk and a minister, and he had a lot of following, and he actually warned people before the blockade of St. Petersburg of the Leningrad happened during the Second World War. He warned his disciples to get out of town,
Mm-hmm.
get into the villages far away from the Leningrad,
Mm-hmm.
St. Petersburg. And those who complied, those survived. Those who didn't, most of them died in the siege of the Leningrad. So I was reading about one of his followers, the follower of his, long time after his passing, a very pious lady. She was serving the church and doing all this good work for people and helping everybody around. And then one day she heard the word from upstairs, next Thursday, that's your day. We're calling on you.
Mm-hmm.
There is ticket for you already issued
Mm-hmm.
for transfer. So what she did, she called the friends and the church members to her house. She made the tea. She made the piroshki, baked the piroshki, beautiful things. A lot of them people came. They spoke to her for about 2 hours. They had tea together. Then she went to the bedroom, lay down on the bed, and was gone.
Quietly, peacefully.
Of course, peacefully. She was dead.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. Most of people are afraid of this. As I know.
That's what is perplexing me. Like if you to get the mortgage, you study the rules, you get yourself ready, you get the connections, you find the lawyer, you find the financer, you find all these things, you study the calculators, because you know you need all of that soon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody know that we are here not permanently. Is anybody think that they're here permanently?
I think most of people think this way. That's
how the dual mind function, because it's so scary. It's turning off that thought. But consciously, we know that we're not here permanently. This experience is temporary. So it have the end of it. Why nobody getting ready for that end? It just beats me. It's beyond me. I have no idea. It's so unreal. It's so strange. People know that event would happen, and they taking no steps to prepare themselves to that event.
No, most people think they will never die. You know what I?
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah.
Most of people think this.
Well, it's a childish thing. It's a kid in inside of their consciousness, trying to protect from the brain damage. Image. I don't have brain damage. Image.
But actually, all of the people, they go through this thought that once they will die. Sooner or later, some of us come to this conclusion.
Well, right now we're going through a huge shift in that thought. Everybody is thinking that they would die from pooping too much. Right? Am I right?
Like, what do you suggest people? Like, is it good to have this thought in mind that eventually it could happen, or not to think about it and enjoy life? Or
the mystery of this experience is that we need, still being in this experience, reconcile two irreconcilable thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Two thoughts which cannot be possibly blend together. One thought that we are the ideas of God, and so we are immortal, and we go into next life, as many believe, or as famous Russian poet in his song said that Indians invented very good religion because they know that they're not dying, and that's awesome. And the thought that this experience is temporary and it has the end, and we need to get ready to it. These two thoughts are seemingly irreconcilable. You cannot blend them together or work with them together. But that's what we have to do. We have to be okay with those two thoughts existing together.
With both of them.
With both of them.
Because I know one religion, Orthodox religion, doesn't agree with the idea of reincarnation that Indians have. Not Indians, but let's say that type of religions.
Oh, you came to the right person to tell me that. You're some kind of mentalist yourself. This lady is dangerous. I'm telling you, people, be careful. This
I'm
lady
just a yoga teacher.
Yeah, no, she's like X-ray. Like she's like, you feel those rays coming through you. So, what were we talking about?
Nice try. Like, how do we leave these two thoughts? One is from Orthodox religion.
Right. Yeah. Reincarnation. Okay.
And accept or not accept.
It's not just Orthodox Christianity. Majority of the Christianity do not talk about reincarnation, do not entertain thoughts about reincarnation, do not discuss it, and not interested in them. Why it is so? Because the mainstream belief is that, which I agree upon with, is that Christ came and Christ made everybody capable of reaching non-dual consciousness during the lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's no need to talk about it because it's already dealt with and it's done.
It's done.
Yeah.
So there is no reason to reincarnate.
There is no reason to reincarnate because reason for reincarnation that you're not ripened enough. You're not good to be put on the shelf for sale yet. You need to go into storage again.
Makes sense.
Or you can get X-rayed, like we heard about some fruits from the Reverend famous yoga teacher. And that X-ray would ripen you too. It ripened me in a very, very powerful way. I wasn't able to walk after your lesson for 3 days. But then I flight for 3 weeks, right? It's a big difference.
So, you know what? Let me check the time. We
have 45 minutes in a 40 seconds.
45 minutes and 45 seconds.
We can wrap up with something positive because it was a lot of how do I call it? Opposite of positive. Challenging, scary.
I didn't find it scary. I really didn't find it scary. Usually people give homeworks. Homework.
Yeah. Oh, you're caught me out off guard.
No, but you said we have to wrap up with something positive.
Right.
And joining these two together, which we did, I think. Which we
Yeah,
Which
we
we
kind of let's the viewers judge did we or did we not. But the homework is this. The homework is this. In no way, please think that you can with some exercise ripen up. Exercise is to be done. Holy books is to be read. Services to be attended. Yoga is to be practiced. But in no way you have to think that this would ripen you up, because it would not. Your soul would ripen up because of the soul effort, and you cannot bend your leg behind your head and start ripening up faster than before. Actually, you can, because it would be so painful that you will.
Okay, you know what? Let us continue later. Send us questions, and we'll schedule next talk.
If people will be interested, sure. If not, then bye-bye.
Do they have a choice? Now you know me better. See you.
Dangerous, I'm telling you. This is a dangerous lady. Very dangerous.
Ooh.
А как остановить?
Так, end stream.
And
So, we're back to our spiritual tea drinking.